Hi friends, welcome to my channel Daily News Editorial. In this channel, we regularly cover editorial news section of the Hindu page. If you like my content, do subscribe, like and comment. In today's video, I will be covering 14th July article of the Hindu newspaper. Listening to the article gives you chance to understand author's perspective about the article and also imparts you with the knowledge of what's happening around the world and in our country. So let's begin. Growth matters, but income levels matter more. India needs a sharp revival of demand for which higher per capita incomes are necessary. The provisional estimates of annual national income released on May 31st by the National Statistic Office did not have any surprise, but for one, that is, there is nothing encouraging in the numbers. The agriculture sector continued its impressive growth performance, reiterating that it still remains as the vital sector of the economy, especially at times of crisis. The manufacturing sector continued its subdued growth performance, falling to emerge as the growth driver with production interruptions due to localized lockdowns to be blamed. The contraction in trade 18.2%, construction 18.6%, mining 8.5%, and manufacturing 7.2% is a matter of concern as these sectors account for the bulk of low skilled jobs. Gross domestic product at constant 2011 to 12 prices in Q4 of 2020-21 is showing a growth of 1.6%, slightly better than expected, but for a period when the restrictions on mobility and economic activity witnessed reduction, this performance looks below par. Further, this growth, which is an improvement over the 0.5% rate of growth in the previous quarter, is a statistical artifact as it is not devoid of the base effect and seasonality which plagues quarterly estimates. The magnitude of contraction in the economy and the policy responses towards it raises an important issue, that is, the question of growth prospects for the next year. Rising unemployment rate. Contextualizing the current growth rates in terms of some other macroeconomic data would provide us a better perspective on growth recovery. First, the unemployment data released by the Center of Monitoring Indian Economy, which says in May 2021, India's labor participation rate at 40% was the same as it was in April 2021, but the unemployment rate shot up to 11.9% from 8% in April. A stable labor participation rate combined with a higher unemployment rate implies a loss of job and a fall in employment rate. The employment rate fell to 35.3% in May 2021 from 36.8% in April 2021. This is a very sharp fall for a single month. May 2021 was therefore a particularly stressful month on jobs front. According to CIME, over 15 million jobs were lost in May 2021, higher than the 12.3 million in November 2016, the month of demonetization. May 2021 was also the fourth consecutive month of a fall in employment. The more worrying fact is that the cumulative fall in employment since January 2021 is 25.3 million, of which 22.7 million were in the first quarter of financial year 2021-22, that is during April and May. This shows that the second wave of the pandemic has already dented economic activities, postponing recovery further. The job losses also bring out the high informality and vulnerability of labor in India. As of the total jobs lost during April May, 17.2 million were of daily wage earners. Elementary textbook economics tells us that employment and aggregated demand in an economy are related via the channel of disposable incomes of workers. We also know that aggregate demand and output growth have a positive correlation. Hence, the prospects of growth revival in the next year look bleak at the moment. And from this perspective, it is worrying that in just April and May 2021, India lost 25 million non farm jobs. Low business confidence. This gets reflected in the business confidence of Indian companies, which is the second important data point that needs to examined. Business Confidence Index BCI from the survey by the industry body FICCI plummeted to 51.5% from 74.2% to in previous round. This survey also highlights the weak demand conditions in the economy. It says with household income being severely impacted, the past savings being already drawn on during the first wave of infections, demand conditions can be expected to remain weak for longer. Compounding this is the uncertainty arising out of the imposition of localized curbs due to the second wave of infections and a muddled vaccine policy in the country. Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index PMI also throws some light on the shape of things to come. PMI has slipped to a 10-month low, indicating that the manufacturing sector is showing signs of strain and growth projections being revised lower. Both BCI and PMI slipping down indicates that the overall optimism towards 2021-22 is low, which could impact investments and cause further job losses. Demand recovery. Growth recovery depends on demand recovery. External demand looks robust as India's exports touched $32 billion in May 2021, 67% higher in May 2020 and 8% more than in May 2019. The combined increase in exports of April and May 2021 is over 12%, indicating that global demand rebound is much faster than the domestic demand. Stimulus programs and a sharp decline in COVID 19 infections seem to be aiding these economies. What needs to be addressed immediately is the crisis of low domestic demand. Since last year, the policy responses have been to rely on credit easing, focusing more on supply side measures and more guarantees by the government to improve flow of credit to important sectors. There has been less direct action by the government to support the vulnerable to alleviate their hardship. There were some sector specific measures to alleviate distress in certain sectors which were timely. However, this policy stance is unlikely to prop up growth for three reasons. First, the bulk of policy measures, including the most recent, are supply side measures and not on the demand side. In the times of financial anxiety, what is needed is direct state spending for a quick demand boost. Second, large parts of all the stimulus packages announced till now would work only in the medium term. These include policies related to the external sector, infrastructure, and manufacturing sector, In fact, some of the policies towards agriculture, such as productivity enhancement through the introduction of new varieties, will only work over years. Third, the use of credit backstops as the main plank of policy has limits compared to any direct measure on the demand side, as this could result in poor growth performance if private investment do not pick up. Further, the credit easing approach would take a longer time to multiply incomes as lending involves a lender's discretion and borrower's obligation. Interestingly, a tight fisted fiscal policy approach comes at a time when conventional fiscal stimulus packages might not be enough as supply side issues arising out of episodic lockdowns need to be addressed simultaneously. What is required now is a sharp revival in overall demand, focusing on short term magnified growth rates resting on low bases might be erroneous, as income levels matter more than growth rates at this juncture. Focusing on growth rates has its merits in the long term, as achieving higher income levels requires sustained growth for longer periods. Bangladesh seems to be doing this without much fanfare, but the quest for sustained higher growth has been elusive for India for the last 5 years. Now about the author. Mr. Suresh Babu is professor of economics at IIT Madras, and his views are his personal views. Thank you very much.